This is an article summary of Mobile First Indexing or A Whole New Google, the Local and International Impact. This is article 4 of 4, so the last article in a 4-part series, and it was published in March 2018. So this article focuses on how mobile first indexing might be related to local and international searches, how geography might factor in to aspects of the local algorithm or just Google's long-term strategy. So we start by talking about the micro moments. Google has 4 micro moments. I want to know, I want to do, I want to buy, and I want to go. And we boil this down to say I want to know is search, I want to do is media, I want to buy is shopping, and I want to go is maps. So it turns out this 4-part series has 1 article for each of the micro moments. So today, this article is about I want to go maps, at least for the most part. So what we know here is that Google stopped using IP redirection and stopped using separate indexes for different countries. They made a small announcement. It didn't get much attention, but we think this is a big deal. We know a lot of SEOs have started to see results that kind of don't make sense in their country, where Google used to be really good at sorting out what country results should go where. It seems like that got shaken up a little bit. We think that this is related to mobile first indexing and Google trying to do a better job of using machine learning and artificial intelligence in a more cohesive international way and feeding all of the information that they get back to specific entity concepts, regardless of the language. So we know that localization and language specific organization of results isn't gone entirely, and in incognito results, for instance, Google still uses the IP location to guess at localization things, but we still think that the country-specific impact of search has decreased with mobile first indexing. And the easiest way to see this is the change that Google made to image search. So in image search, they started translating all of the titles of the images, the title tags for the images, and also soon the descriptions, to be in the language that you search in, or to be in the phone language probably. Or the search settings language. But what this means is that Google understands when you're searching for an image of something, I usually use the example of a blue chair. When you're searching for an image of a blue chair, any image from a website that's written in any language would do. And in fact, limiting the image results to pictures of blue chair that are only written about in English, for instance, would be a bad result, because what if there are more beautiful chairs, blue chairs, that are written about in other languages? They wouldn't be showing in your image search result if Google wasn't internationalizing the results. But we think they are, and we think that they're starting with image results by translating those title tags and ranking them based on the understanding of the language that they're in. And this is an important change. This shows what Google can do. Mobile Moxie has a whole other series about entities and language that you should read up on and check out if you want to know more about stuff like the image search. But in general, what you have to understand is that entities and images are described by keywords, but the keywords can be in any language. So the entity exists before the language or before the keywords that describe it. A blue chair is still a blue chair regardless of what language you're talking about it in and regardless of what language you're searching for it for. And so we also talk about the importance of hreflang and JSON-LD. These are things we think Google used hreflang to teach itself languages, among other things. It's also good for SEO. But when you say this is equal to this is equal to this is equal to this, and you say what language it is, that gives them a lot of fodder to feed their machine learning algorithms, to teach those algorithms different languages. But when you think about JSON-LD, Google's made a huge shift to encouraging SEOs and webmasters to mark up their content in JSON-LD. JSON-LD is based in English, but like the markup itself is based in English, but the stuff that you put in the markup, so you have elements and the markup that, or you have the markup and the stuff that you put in that's from your website. The stuff that you put in doesn't have to be in English. And so that's kind of becoming almost like a Rosetta Stone for Google, for the internet. If you can read the JSON LD schema markup and you know the identifiers, then you can translate whatever language the information is in after that, or you can know what it's describing, right? So you don't have to index everything independently of each other. You kind of have a framework of understanding all of the stuff that you're ingesting, regardless of what language that it's in. So this is why we think Google likes JSON LD, or one of the reasons they like JSON LD schema so much. So let's talk about maps. If you think about a map search, language actually becomes a hindrance, especially if you're traveling internationally. So for instance, if I'm traveling in Germany, I'm still using my phone, and if I need to go to a grocery store, it's an extra step for me to go to Google Translate and say, how do you say grocery store in German? And then I have to copy and paste that and put that into Maps. That's a lot of work that we have had to do historically, but Google sees the point that that's really not a useful or as useful as it could be, because it really should be that when I search in Maps for grocery store, regardless of what country I'm in or regardless of what language the grocery store is writing about itself in. So for instance, if there's a grocery store, but it's all of the website is written in German, Google should still be able to figure out it's a grocery store and rank it on a map search for me. And so this speaks kind of to the importance of entity understanding and the translation aspect that Google really, really wants to capitalize. If Google can do a good job of getting me to a grocery store in Germany, even though I don't speak German, then they're doing a good job. If I have to translate everything before I put it into Google to do a search, then they're not doing a good job. So we think that Google is using all of the information that they're gaining through the hreflang, through the schema, to create a knowledge database, to build out their knowledge graph for all these places, and then to make them a bit available and understood in any language. And so they're using AI to do this, but we think that Google's taking it a step further also and combining the AI with geography to try and build out richer experiences for geospecific experiences. For instance, the Explore functionality in Android that's linked to Maps helps you figure out what you're going to do for the day. And this seems to be based on a lot of different kinds of information, time of day, weather, physical location. And it gives you a recommendation like, oh, it's a nice day. Maybe you want to sit on a patio and eat a meal. It's lunchtime. But we think that this is probably based on the aggregate of what people have searched for historically on days like this. But it does give them the ability to potentially give it even more of a personalized flair, which we've seen in some of the announcements where Google's trying to rival Yelp even a little bit further by when you look up a restaurant in the Explore feature, they're going to give you a score based on to tell you how much they think you're going to like this restaurant. And it's hard to know. They say they're not personalizing the results very much. That does seem very personalized, but perhaps they're using aggregate ratings or aggregate cohorts or some kind of anonymized data to give you this score. But again, that is likely going to start to change how the search results appear. If Google can prioritize numerically what kinds of restaurants are around you that it thinks you would like, then why would it show one that it thinks that you won't like higher than one that it thinks that you will? And so that could be a ranking factor in the future as well. We also think that with this higher focus on geography and deep understanding, Google may try and position itself to be a middleman to bridge the gap between on and offline businesses, including small businesses, to try and help them with just-in-time delivery, to try and help them with things that small businesses have struggled with, like inventory control and product delivery. We think in the long run there's a chance that they're going to try and use driverless cars using Google Maps and Waze data and all the products, all the big things that Google's been working on. They may try and integrate with these offline businesses to help make them compete with some of the bigger players, especially with the potential for real-time delivery. And we know since this article has been published, Google has been building out a lot more of the product functionality so that you can enter in more data, so that they can ingest more data. They're starting to ask more and more companies for marked up databases, and we think all of this is to help them do a better job helping all different kinds of businesses sell their products more efficiently. We also included the idea here that Google has been rumored to have a plan to remove the address bar from Chrome. This speaks to a theme that's been going through a lot of Mobile Moxie writing and speaking recently, which is the idea that content without websites or content without URLs may be able to rank well, aka potentially coming directly from a database or something like that. Google's trying to, or coming from an app, but this idea that Google's going to try and de-emphasize the address bar makes us think that they really do want to continue to blur the line between app and web, and between websites and other kinds of web assets, because things can exist on the web without being part of a website. And then the last piece is the mention of a project that's codenamed Fuchsia, which is Google's new cross-device OS browser combination that could supplant Android and Chrome as an OS. So it's a browser and it's an operating system tied together. We think that the PWA payment system mentioned in Article 3 may play into that, but the writing that's happened about Fuchsia so far has said that much of the team from that's working on PWAs came from the Chrome store, and it seems that Fuchsia has kind of a PWA Chrome store app kind of feel about it, but focuses almost entirely on entity understanding and JSON LD in the backend. So showing search results, showing any kind of activity that you might want to take on the phone is based on feeds and JSON LD. So that also kind of speaks to a lot of the themes that have come up in this article series. So this has been the last article in the Mobile First Indexing or a Whole New Google series, the local and international impact of mobile first indexing. Thank you.